I'm Katie Couric. I'm here at the Council on Foreign Relations. Senator Joe Biden is recently back from a trip to Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. So we spoke to the very impressive audience of foreign policy experts here to talk about the importance of what's often called, primarily about Afghanistan and what's often called the Forgotten War. Obviously, recently there, Senator, how much do you think the situation has disintegrated? I mean, and why don't you think the American people, A, know about it, and B, care about it as much as they need to?
Well, I think if they knew about it, Katie, they'd care about it. I think it's essentially been whitewashed and saying everything's fine there. We got this guy Karzai. He's a westernized guy in charge of a country. Looks like everything's going well. And all the focus is on Iraq. And I think that people are beginning not to make a distinction, because this administration doesn't, between a war of necessity, making sure we stabilize the subcontinent of India and not let a rogue state reappear in the heart of a dangerous area between Iran and Pakistan. Then they make no distinction between that and what's going on in Iraq. They've been lied to about Iraq. They've been misled about Iraq, in my view. There's still no political solution in sight about Iraq, and they now put it all in one big dish. It's all about American troops fighting for something that doesn't seem winnable. They make no distinction.
And ironically, there was never really a connection between Saddam Hussein and
None.
Al-Qaeda.
None.
But many Americans
Al-Qaeda,
still think
here's
that.
what I say to people. Look, bin Laden lives in Pakistan. He operates in Afghanistan. The Taliban and Al-Qaeda are in Afghanistan and in Pakistan. That's where they live. That Pakistan's a nuclear country and Afghanistan's a country with 27 million people that may fail. That is the flashpoint. Yet this president said if we don't fight him in Baghdad, we're going to fight him in Boston. It's malarkey, pure malarkey. To the extent that Al-Qaeda, or Al-Qaeda, what they call Al-Qaeda Mesopotamia, homegrown Al-Qaeda in Iraq exists, it's a Bush-fulfilling prophecy.
Because they came there as a result of the invasion.
That's exactly right. They have nice targets, American boys and girls.
And finally, who do you think is going to be the Democratic nominee, and how come you haven't endorsed either candidate?
I don't know who the nominee will be, and I spoke to both candidates after I withdrew from the race to tell them that I'm available to them for any input they want from me, but I'm going to let the voters, the Democratic voters, decide.
Who would you like to be the nominee?
I'm not going to get. You're very good. I've committed to myself not to endorse. And I'm not going to do it.
And what do you think the chances of either candidate beating John McCain are?
I think they're good. I think they're good for three reasons. One, John seems not willing to distance himself from the Bush foreign policy, which has been a disaster for America. And the Bush economic policies are pushing us into a recession. And so I think it's going to be very hard, no matter who the Republican nominee is, for the Republican nominee, with a looming recession, which may very well be in full bloom by the time the election rolls around, with no political solution to Iraq, still sending our sons and daughters there this time next year or in September and October. And so I think it's going to be very hard for John or anyone else to Republican nominee to win.
And finally, does Barack Obama's willingness to sit down with foreign leaders, our enemies, without preconditions but with preparations, does that give you is that any cause for concern given your foreign policy background?
No, because Barack is now quoting what I've been quoting for the last 2 years. As John Kennedy said, we should never negotiate out of fear, but we should never fear to negotiate. We're the most powerful nation in the world. If we don't like what they're saying, we can get up and walk away.
But what about Hillary Clinton's argument that the president and presidential visits should not be used as propaganda if, in fact, you come back empty-handed from such negotiations?
I think she's right, but look what happened. Barack is now modifying his statement. He says only with the idea of this being worked out ahead of time, only with the notion that he knows this is real. He'd be
only
willing to say,
after emissaries have laid down the groundwork.
Yes. And I think that's a rational position.
All right, Senator Biden, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Got to watch yourself on YouTube later.
All right, I'll do it.
Do you ever watch YouTube?
Yes, I do. I have. A matter of fact, my kids gave me a iPod for iPhone, an iPod for Christmas, and even I can access YouTube.
Check out Lucky's Funeral. It's a little girl flushing a dead goldfish down the toilet.
Oh.
Hilarious.
I can remember my daughter crying for weeks about that happening.
He has one and I don't.